Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to an episode of Tapped In with Tristan. We got our Fit Lab 15 segment going on, and I'm honored to have my guest, Mr. Matt Cook. Ladies and
How are
gentlemen,
y'all?
Matt Cook. Go ahead, man. Talk to him.
How are y'all?
Yeah. My guy Matt Cook is a college collegiate baseball player, man. So we're just going to get some background information about what your story looks like and then how we can help some of these people, man. So just kind of tell us about the beginning. What's early childhood look like with the baseball and everything?
So I got into baseball really young. I was about 3 years old when I started getting into it. Being that young, you really can't find your position yet, and so I played everywhere. I bounced around from second base to outfield, first base, all those positions. And about 5 years old, just when I got into kid pitch or late coach pitch, early kid pitch, I found the position catcher. And ever since that day, I have stuck with catcher. It's going on 11 and a half years now, actually doing full-time catching instead of catching and playing second or other positions. I think it's actually 12 years coming up here in the next few months. So I fell in love with that. Been doing it ever since, stuck with it.
What's that look like with the family dynamic? Is that something that they was happy about? Because catcher's a very demanding position on the body, of the mind. Who's involved? Is it parents? Is it siblings? What's that look like? And where were you playing at? What state? Where's your region at? Where you from?
So I'm from Texas, a little town called Mansfield, Texas. Starting out, my father's actually from Boston, so he grew up on hockey and lacrosse and all the Northeastern sports. And my mother's from Lubbock, Texas, so she's grew up on the football because that's Texas Tech right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it really wasn't much baseball in the family until me. Like, we were always fans of it.
Wow.
So once I chose baseball, because I also did play football a little bit.
Okay.
They supported it fully. My mom took a deep breath when I didn't play football.
Okay.
But then when I told her I was going to be a catcher, she kind of questioned it a little bit, but
a little bit extra contact there. So
a little bit too much contact.
Yeah.
But once we got into the swing of it and I started to understand the game better, and my parents also, we both grew in the sport at the same time.
Yeah.
And once they understood it, we all kind of joined together and did the whole thing together. And my brother, actually, he's a catcher right now.
Wow.
He's doing great. So it kind of just like trickled down to him. So we're basically a catcher family now.
That's pretty dope, man. From not even a baseball player, that's pretty cool. So when did it really kind of cross over as a student athlete from it kind of being like recreational to, hey, man, this is something that I would like to do in college?
I always, from the time I like really started grinding baseball, I wanted to play in college. I had those little kid dreams of playing in Game 7 of the World Series with 2 outs. The college really started probably I really wanted to play in college starting 5th grade year, and I started really buckling down on my athletics and my class.
Yeah.
And all the stuff that you need to be successful in college. And going into fast forward a few years to junior year, whenever I started the recruiting process,
Okay.
and all these schools that I probably sent out 150 emails.
Okay.
And seeing all the requirements that were needed, like you need for this school, you need this certain GPA. For that one, you need like this certain GPA.
It was different for each school.
Right. Yeah. Because the strategy we use is that, because like not every school, I'm not like the biggest athlete, I'm not like the shortest athlete, but like I could still get looks, like, right, as everybody can. But I'm not the type of athlete to get a look from Duke. Like I'm not that good.
This is something that you recognize. You kind of recognize where you would kind of fit in collegiately, and this is part of your attack, correct?
Right. Yeah. I realized that early on. the thing is like I'm shorter for catchers, and it's like a catcher. Catchers nowadays is the stereotype for catchers is they want big, strong power hitters that can also catch. Like Gary Sanchez, for example.
Right.
It's a big dude that can hit and he can catch.
Right.
So once I started realizing that, I could kind of see the game changing.
Right.
I realized it's like, yeah, I don't have the talent to go to, say, a Vandy or Florida State or Oklahoma. So what I did is I set my sights lower on D2 and smaller D1s and sent out 150 emails, and the schools that responded were the ones that were interested, and we would pursue them. And the ones that didn't respond, we kind of push out. And it funneled down to one school, and the school that I'm at now.
What's that school?
Franklin Pierce University. It is a D2, a big D2 up in the north. It's up in New Hampshire. So we're part of the Northeast 10 Conference.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And it's really cool to have somebody with that type of perspective at an early age to be honest with themselves, to know what lane you need to stay in. And I think this is valuable information for the athlete as well for the parent, because far too often people are not very realistic with themselves. And then you can jam yourself up, man. You're in the spot. You're in a spot, man, and you're going to maximize that. I know you will. So that's beautiful. So let's talk about like playing. Who was you playing for? Was you doing the select? Was it those long days, long summers? Was you doing like extra training? What that look like, man? Talk to us.
Don't even get me started on the old days, man. Those long, hot days, dude. So whenever I started playing, I played for, can't remember the exact team because it was such a long time ago, but where I vaguely remember my.
Let's name the teams that you remember. Let's name the teams where it's really starting to get to the nitty gritty of the recruitment. Who were we playing for then?
So I was playing, I don't know if they're still an organization, but it was the DSW Express.
Okay.
And they were based in Euless, Texas. And that was where I really got the first great coach for all around baseball, not just catching. His name was Jeff Hobbs. That man knows what he is doing and really shaped my mental side of baseball.
Was that very important for you?
Yes, very. Because what a lot of people don't understand about baseball is that baseball is not just a physical sport. It's very physically demanding. But a famous quote by Yogi Berra, 90% of the game is mental. The other 10% is physical. So yes, whenever he started showing me the mental side of baseball, I really took a liking to that and fell in love with it. And that's why I still talk to that coach to this day. I ask him for advice on baseball, what I should do maybe in this count or this situation with that type of hitter. Yeah. It's like, so there's a lot of thought process that goes into that. Now, as every athlete has, especially in the sport of baseball, you have your great coaches and then you have your not so good coaches. And then I was fortunate enough to not have very many not so good coaches. Okay. I mean, I had one who was just kind of there.
Okay. You could tell a difference though, can't you?
Yeah, you can tell a big difference. And that actually makes a giant difference on the player. Because if you have a head coach that's just there versus the head coach that's there and interacts with the players and tells them, hey, this is why you should do it this way, but I'm going to let you do it your way at the same time. Like, just put it all together.
That's very important for a young player. So if you're a parent, would you advise them to look at organizations that have that for development for their son?
Yes, very much. One of the things that I stress in baseball, and is actually a pet peeve of mine, is I don't like coaches who come up to you and go, you're going to do it this way because this is the best way for you to do it, and this is the only way for you to do it. Baseball is a sport where no player is the exact same. Yeah. Everybody has a different hitting stance. Everybody has a different fielding stance. Everybody's completely different. So the way that you can do that is look for coaches who don't push their ideals, but also are willing to help and show them a better way, but leave it up for them if they want to choose it or not.
That's valid. That's very valid. So that's also apart from the coaching side, is to recognize that each person is unique. So you want to help them to enhance whatever skill set they have, but also not ultimately change them to what they're not. So
right. So like I work with a younger kid for catching. And what I do is like whenever we're working on stances or we're working on receiving
So
for
you're doing
catchers,
that right now. So
he's a
now,
catcher as well.
so now you're pouring into other young athletes, correct?
Right.
That's awesome.
Right. Yes, sir. So what I do is I don't say, hey, we're set up in this way. I say, get in your stance.
Right.
I say, get in your stance. And then I might critique the footwork
And
to.
you're gonna work with it, but let's get your setup, and then we're gonna maximize that setup instead of saying your toes got to be this way.
Right.
What feels comfortable for you, and then we're gonna build on that foundation.
Right. What's best? What is the best position I can put you in to make you successful for your career?
That's awesome, bro. So let's talk a little bit now. Fast forward, we're at Franklin Pierce. You're in the midst of the COVID situation, man. How has this been on you going into the school, man?
It's tough right now. We have like on campus, we have to wear masks everywhere. And those things, man, you cannot breathe out of them. We even have to wear masks during practice. So whenever we do our conditioning and we have those masks on, it's not fun.
It's a huge adjustment right now for everything, correct?
It is. And like I'm about to purchase a mask that it's an athletic mask that Under Armour makes. It's the one that Tom Brady uses. It actually makes it easier to breathe in, but it also doesn't let that stuff, like the air out that the CDC is saying the COVID comes from. So,
awesome. But what about some of these young guys that get involved with like training? We're talking about that, and even like something like Fit Lab, where we're talking about sports performance training. We have a relationship. You've been a Fit Lab athlete. Where's the benefit in that, if any?
It's all over the place. I mean, dude, like Fit Lab is the best one I've seen and the best one I've gone to, because I've been to many, and there's a reason I keep coming back to Fit Lab. For different athletes, it could be different for workouts. So for me, for baseball and catching, I like to capitalize on all whole body workouts versus just like I do mainly whole body workouts the entire time I work out. And then every once in a while I'll section off like biceps, triceps. But you have to know what you're doing or find a trainer that knows what he is doing. Yeah. So somebody take you, for instance, you know what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Or you could take somebody who legit trains out of their garage and thinks they know what they're doing, and you could wind up getting hurt.
It's supposed to be where it carries over to your sport to reduce the risk of injury and improve performance.
Right.
Parents, if you have a spot and you have the means to do so, start getting involved with that at an early age. One fun fact about my guy right here, I'm going to throw you out there. He's one of the best hip hop dancers at Fit Lab.
Oh God, you went through.
I'm not going to have you really go at it. I mean, they're going to have to go check you out on your social media, but my man can go.
Dude, I mean, I can get down. I can get down.
I had to show you some love, man. I seen it with my own two eyes, man.
Bro, like I'll be doing a Station 2 workout in there, and then I'll look at Tristan, he'll look at me, and then I'll just out of nowhere just start dancing, and it's funny. We both get a good laugh out of it.
This guy has a great spirit about him, man. So really appreciate your time, man. We celebrate you, man. We're really proud of you. What's some words of advice to the young and up and coming athletes before we wrap this up, man? As well as the parents, they're vital into it. Their support or lack thereof.
So some advice I can give the athletes: don't pressure yourself to do it the right way. Nobody's perfect. I see a lot of parents and just friends these days, like older parent, like your parents and the parents' friends are pressuring their kids to do it perfect. It's like, yes, you can let them say that, but in the end, it's your way. And if their way doesn't work, talk to them about it. You ask questions. Make sure you're making the most that you can without putting too much stress on you. I made the mistake of putting way too much stress on my body and on my mind and on everything about my sports. And I really suffered it was probably a good year. And I went through a hitting drought because I couldn't find my swing until I backtracked, did everything that I could, asked questions, and now I'm hitting. It's just take your time. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. And enjoy the ups and downs. Enjoy the ups and downs that go with it, and don't try to be perfect. Just try to be the best rendition of yourself. You still with me?
Somebody's calling me. Oh,
you're a popular guy. Popular guy.
Here we go. Yeah. Speak of the devil. There's my dad.
Yeah. What's going on, Dad? So really appreciate your time, man. For everybody that's out there, let's make sure we're subscribing to Tap In with Tristan. Let's share this content. We're here to use this platform to help as many people as we can on this podcast. Comment, like, share. If you have a question directly for Matt, let me know. I'm sure he'll be really up for answering these things. And we're going to continue to build on this thing, man. I really appreciate you, salute you, man. And much success to you all, the Franklin Pierce.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too.
Later.